Hello, I'm Gordon Nuttall, and I'm the organizer for this Toastmasters on Video meetup. With this video, I'd like to give you some tips on preparing for your recording session. Now, as a way of introduction, in this group we practice in a semi-professional studio that I've set up in my basement. I call it the Moose Studio. There we can learn about the various pieces of technology, the lighting and vocal variety, some of your body motions and eye contact that are unique to video. Then we have a group right away provide you feedback as you would in a Toastmasters group. You can then do another take if you want. We also dip into such subjects as editing, publishing, social media, internet marketing. Those are all critical if you are using video for your business, like many of our current members do. Now here are some tips on preparing for your gig at the Moose Studio. It has 3 shadow box lights, up to 3 video cameras that we can position in different locations, a teleprompter, and an assortment of microphones. Now here's a picture of the room. So far we have set it up into 4 configurations. Standing, behind a booth that has an elbow-height top, sitting behind a desk, or a casual 2-chair environment like an interview in Oprah. Now, if you have something else in mind, give me a call ahead of time and we can set that up for whatever you wanted to be able to try to do there. Now, first choice is to make choice of the background. Now, I have a green background, white, and black. Now, with a green background, I can use this video editing software to replace it with whatever picture or video you want. And there's lots of fun possibilities there. Like you see on the TV weather with the reporter pointing to the map, and the clouds and stuff. Well, here's an example using a dark red drapery. And here's one with a picture of aspen trees. Here's one with a regular wall. And here's one with a video. Use your imagination. Even with the other backgrounds, I can paste in your company logo or some other still image that has a fixed location afterwards. Next is choosing what to wear. Choose your clothing to match the background. If you're green screening, avoid colors in your clothing that have that light color of green or even a light blue. Otherwise, the background will poke right through that color. Now, if you're using black, we found that the rich, solid colors like a maroon and a royal blue, they work really well. Avoid whites and cream or beige. If you're using the white background, you'll just blend right in. Now, the low resolution and compression of online video means you should avoid wearing clothing that has small detail or lines. Here's a shirt that was picked for me by Money Magazine. Now, it was great when printed, but it was rejected by the Shark Tank because it has such small squares. Instead, they told me to wear the one I have on now, a solid blue. It's not a bad idea to bring backup clothes just in case when you come to the studio, to have something to wear in case that things aren't working out. Now, men, you should avoid wearing ties with fine patterns. Something like this would be okay, but this probably would not. It'll look pretty ugly when it gets uploaded to YouTube. Now, we do record in high definition Blu-ray format, and that will show a lot of detail. So guys, do an extra good job of shaving. Now, this may sound weird, but we can also benefit from a little powder on the face or on the bald head. You don't want that reflection. You don't want shiny reflections off a smooth skin environment in this studio. Now, third item that I have some tips about is the audio and the microphone that you choose. The best sound quality is from using a wireless over-the-ear microphone like you might find in a pastor at your church. But it takes a little time to put it on, and some people kind of find it weird. You got this thing hanging on your ear. Now, another choice would be a lapel microphone. If that's what you want to use, you should wear a shirt or a blouse that has a place for the microphone to clip on, and a button up front so that you can feed the cable down, and a pocket or a belt to put the transmitter. If you shy away from that extra technology from using wireless mics, I have a special mic that can be located at the camera because it's highly directional. However, it has some background noise, and it's not quite as inaccurate of a sound. If you are recording, give a 2-second pause with no movement and a smile before starting to speak. That way I can get a background noise profile and later digitally remove that noise, and it'll do a nice fade in. And also give 2 seconds of not moving at the end so that I can do a fade out. Ladies, if you're wearing an over-the-ear microphone, don't go doing this. It just wouldn't do very well. And also, since the microphone is very sensitive, use slower breathing. Be aware of the sound and maybe the ticks of the tongue, because the microphone is right here and it's going to pick up those sounds more than if you're out in a public speaking environment and the audience is a fair distance away from you. And people are going to be listening to your video on their computer. Sometimes they even wear headphones, and it's going to be very quiet. And all of those little noises and ticks and tacks and stuff, they're going to come through with those sensitive microphones. Another thing to consider is to use vocal variety fairly moderately, speaking as if you're talking to just one person, not to an audience. Having a steady pace is even more important on video than in public speaking. The temptation is to start too fast, and that causes the breathing right away from the get-go, and it's not a good start. Maybe start with a drink of water to relieve that dry mouth that you might be experiencing. But don't drink something sweet like pop. I find that it causes extra saliva that can be just as big of a problem as a dry mouth. One of the most important parts of preparing is to practice your script. And we like to use this teleprompter software. Download the free version that we use from this location. Adjust the timing to match your speaking speed. It's even more important on video to slow down. Leave plenty of time in between transitions. We have found it as a temptation with the teleprompter to not do that. You just keep rushing on and on. Remember, I can edit out pauses, but I can't add them back in later on. Now, another thing that I've learned is that words that look fine written down, oftentimes they just don't look very good on video. They just turn out artificial. So pick words that you would use in normal conversation. Be yourself. Speak with your audience as much as possible, not at them, as if you're, talking with a friend. Now let's talk about body movement on video. In Toastmasters, you would really move around and really be animated, make eye contact with a variety of listeners. You really can't do that with video, at least not what I set up to do. The teleprompter is right above the camera, so you keep your eyes there and read the screen. It will appear that you're looking right at the listener. We oftentimes have one of the other participants stand behind the camera. That human presence seems to bring out smiles that are more natural than you would just looking at a camera lens. Also, we can set up 2 cameras slightly apart, and you could change looking at one and back to the other. And later, we'll edit that back in so that it looks like you're actually getting 2 points of view with the transition fade in between. Now, in public speaking, you'd really emphasize hand motions. Wow, that's not going to work very good on video. You need to keep your hand motions a little bit closer to your body than you would with public speaking. In particular, hand gestures moving towards the camera, wow, they get really amplified by the lens. It looks like you're going to punch the people out. So keep them a little bit closer to your body, more subdued. Other things to avoid are the quick sweeping gestures like this. Well, what happens on the video when it's delivered over the internet is going to look like this. It just won't work very well. So try to be a little bit more subdued with your hand motions. And avoid clapping or strong laughter, because these microphones are right here and they'll pick all of that up. And also, don't do this. If you are expressing something heartfelt, well, if the microphone is right there and you tap the microphone, that will also not come across very well. Now pick your rest hand position. This is an advantage of using the booth. You just kind of rest your arms on the top. Open hands is a good practice rather than clenched, or this. Something more like this that's open and inviting. Decide what you want to do and practice it beforehand to find out what really comes natural to you. As far as the rest of the body, be aware of your posture. I found some gotchas to watch out for. I tend to sway if I'm standing. I think it's from when I was rocking my baby girls. So now I use a stool to keep myself in a more slightly positioned area. Keeps me in one place, and that allows me to tilt my body a little bit. Helps me keep sitting up straight. I think it also helps make it come across a little bit more casual. up and down motion can also be very annoying. So just be conscious of some of those things that will come across poorly on the video. Finally, one thing that is great about video, you don't have to get it perfect from start to finish in one take. We can split it into sections. We can redo portions. I can edit out ums and ahs and coughs or any other stuff that you don't want. If you trip over some words, if you trip over words, just start over. If you do start over, try to have your body in the same position. Otherwise, the edit will show up an unnatural jump, sort of like that. Now, as far as how you get the video file afterwards, the easiest way and quickest thing for me is if you bring a high-speed SD card. That way you can just take the card with the new footage with you that night. It takes about 4 gigabytes for a speech up to 10 minutes. And then with retakes, I suggest an 8 gigabyte card. That could cost you about $20. Now, if your computer doesn't have a slot for an SD card, I have an adapter that you can borrow that makes it into a USB thumb drive, so it's very easy to take home. If you don't bring an SD card, I can just upload it to your YouTube account, email me your login information, and I'll just upload it that night. Now, as a final note, even though the title says we're a Toastmasters group, you really don't have to be a member of Toastmasters to join. Our membership has diversified a lot in the last 2 months, with many newcomers who are just doing this for their business. Well, I hope this has helped give you a head start for your recording session with our Meetup group. Remember that our goal is to be authentic, not polished. In any event, it's great fun to experiment with video and learn from others with a similar interest.